Good morning, Papa and I are here eating. Good morning. We'll share to a few groups. I hope you are having a great day. My Papa Bob thinks his granddaughter's a little nuts. It's true, I hope that you do too, because that's how we can be our authentic selves if we are willing to step out of our comfort zone of the known. It's true that you are the one you've been waiting for. I hope that you know you are the one you've been waiting for. So I'll say to you that this morning we are going to read a few cards over breakfast. I told my papa I had this to do, and so he said, okay, that is what you got to do. I'm gonna eat anyway, and so we eat together. I have oatmeal and strawberries. How is it, Papa? Okay. So my Papa's rating for food doesn't get to a 10. What does your rating even get to, Papa? What's the highest rating you would ever give? Out of 10. 0 to 10. What's the best rating you would give anyone? 0 to 10 ratings. What's the best that you would give anyone? 1? You can't just give us a 1. That's not enough. And isn't that the universal story that we're all dealing with? It's August. We're already in it. I hear and behold God in every object, yet understand God not in the least. Walt Whitman said that. And now we are on the 6th day of this month, and so I say, the universe provides abundantly when you're in a state of gratefulness. I wonder if we could actually get it out there so you can see that as we choose these strategies of the light and dark. By Kumara Creations, in fact. And this is Wayne Dyer. Just in case you wondered, just in case you wondered, just in case you did not know where these came from. What strategy of the day are we going to share? Papa, choose one. Choose a card. Choose a card, any card. What are we gonna learn this morning? What are we gonna learn? Papa pulled a few out. Thank you. Set loving boundaries. Be objective. Be very clear about what is and isn't your responsibility. Set loving boundaries in your work and personal life. Note, be careful not to get caught in sympathy. Be willing to face issues lovingly and openly, and yet draw the line when necessary. Pray that the fallen ones are unable to dodge their karma. Don't be a karma dodger yourself. Take responsibility for your own karma and choices in life. Set loving boundaries is the contrary experience to karma dodging, which is a strategy of the fallen ones, the darkness, the ones that have so much shadow of energy veils between them and the truth that they forget who they are and whose they are, and then are more susceptible to falling prey to those of this world that would say, belong to me, and then ye get to live that eternal life, which avoid your karma or get others to bear your karma for you. Get others to do your work or handle a situation you should be handling. Note, avoid confrontation. Remember, you can get yourself off the hook by using the ploy of sympathy. Leave the light bearers paying the bill, literally or through siphoning off their energy. Example, Caiaphas engineered Jesus' death by getting the people to ask for it and thus bear the karma of the act. Can you believe that? The fact that there was one who was so evil and deceptive and manipulative that he actually got the people to be the ones to bear the brunt of the burden of karma that came by acting against our conscience, that moral compass within our own selves, which is why setting loving boundaries is the way that we do the opposite of what the dark ones would have us do, which is actually fully own our choices and our responsibility to choose that each of us have and must use to decide who we're going to be and whose we're going to reflect. Because when we really think about all we represent, when we stand before any one of us, any one of you, I in this moment, come before you as all those who came before me. You see my grandpa in the background just as an added emphasis, because the universe is funny that way. It wasn't the intended message, but was it? I get out of my head and into my heart, and so I don't think of what I say per se. I just say it and then sometimes think, wish that wasn't live. But what do? You seal your mind and aura. And the psychological distraction employed by the dark side as the opposite of sealing your mind and aura is actually messing with their minds. And mental health is actually the emphasis of this sick and toxic society, I believe, because we have been taught to get into our heads, out of our hearts. And that is where we have no power, because it's a four-dimensional experience. This is 3D, and what we create is 5 and beyond. Those are where our feelings reside. And so, messing with their minds is a psychological form of dislocation. Try to throw them off balance by messing with their mind, the dark ones say. Induce a state of helplessness by making them feel disorganized and demoralized, as if there is no hope, that you must do said injection in order to get your freedoms back as a country, as a world. Do you really believe that to be true? In your heart of hearts? Or is it in your head that you agree with that and would nod in agreeance because that's what we've been taught to do? I'm not saying that in a condescending or demoralizing way in any way, but I am saying that we live in indoctrination world. We live in a land where we get indoctrinated. And we also happen to live Indoctrination, which is a documentary if you didn't see last year when it came out before it was banned, because it was full of good stuff, then you'll see their tactic at play. Make them feel like they're in a pressure cooker. Use situations in their life and other strategies to increase the pressure or the sense of being trapped. Throw different challenges at them all at once. Keep them reacting to external forces and disconnected from their higher self. Warning, if they stay tethered to God, you'll fail. That is the warning the dark ones give to one another to make sure that they say that we must feel helpless in order for them to win, because they are siphoning off our energy. It is harvest time right now, and your energy is the current sea they are going for, and we must choose to intentionally protect ourselves from, which is why last night I read chapters 7 and 8 in the Human Aura book study I am leading with Francoise. And so
Cat's outside.
Thank you, Papa. So, the Human Aura book study is very much valuable because sealing your mind and aura is actually the way that we can actually counteract the strategies of the dark, who would throw us off balance by messing with our minds and making us feel like we're crazy and that we're the ones that don't make sense, even though it is no sign of health to be poorly adjusted to a sick society, to listen to the ruckus of all of the noise on the propaganda box. Yeah, it's great, we get to choose what we're going to watch, but even that is not as creative as what it would be if you chose to see the world as a playground and what's next? for me to choose to do. Ooh, ooh. And if you just go into those moments, riding the moment, and you feel the excitement bubbling up, it's fun. It's kind of freaky for people on the outside, sure. But if we get over that fact and get back to the fact that what we actually feel in that moment, even if others are like, what's going on with her? They're also like, what's going on with her, right? And when we get into that space, when we react to their curiosity, uncertainty, not sureness, when we actually take that on, we bring that in to the creative experience they then perceive, which means that their discomfort and our perception of discomfort, even if it was just an assumption that made an ass of you and me, when we bring that into our field, we put it out into the energy we create, which is why album 22 was such a significant project. With album 22, we're actually connecting with artists around the world to be able to work on the artists and the energetic signature that we have to be able to actually bring a higher frequency into the music that you receive. So please do understand how much has went into album 22, which you can access at album22thenumbers.com, album22.com. Please definitely do go check that out. Listen to the 22 songs. You've got artists around the world. Pick your favorites. We all have them. And ultimately, the cool thing is that once you know your favorite, then you can watch the interview that I've done with 10 of those artists so far. And I'm going to do more interviews with all of those artists on the 22 songs as quickly as I possibly can, and yet it is quite the ordeal to actually get that organized and have enough space on the computer to be able to edit it, I must say. I've had to move too because my computer got too full because I've got so much going on, which is a reflection of the fact that our life is full. Do we have a plate? Do we have a platter? How much are we taking on? What are we taking into ourselves, both physically, literally, especially with this GMO injection that's going around that literally is patenting people, and people are not talking about that specifically because it's so controversial and we think, no, that's not possible. But the natives thought that about the seeds before all of those were patented too, don't you believe? So mess with their minds, tell them it's not going to be that way, and then when what was told to them actually comes to bear, then say, sorry, should have trusted your brothers and sisters that tried to warn ya. So seal your mind and aura so you can actually get back connected to your conscience, to the part of you that knows truth because of the resonance of it. Seal your mind and aura, stay centered in your heart, calm your mind and emotions. Maintain your peace amidst busyness and turmoil. Remember that the battle is won in your mind. That is the real estate that is being fought for right now, my friend, your whole territory. The tear on Earth, tear, Mother Earth, planet Earth. Mother, Ma, tear. Yeah, crazy. Real estate. This is it. What is being fought for? Tear, I, tor, e, for energy. Tor, to rip off. Tear, tori, territory. When you break down a word and you actually take that time to make love to it, to understand it, to find what feels good for it, to understand how it fits together to be the miraculous creation that he or she is, whatever it is you're working with, when you are working with someone or with a word, whatever it is, whatever's in front, whatever we're working with, we're playing with, we have to make life a dance again. Ecstatic dance is literally where you just show up and you just get to dance like a child and just... There's nothing sexual, which is so lovely, because so oftentimes when you just dance sensually and you ride the magic of the moment, people get aroused. And it's like, nah. Sexy and sacred don't go together. That's when you violate the sacred, when you try to introduce sexiness into it and then bring that sexual energy of desire and lust and carnal into a sacred experience that's so much higher vibing until that density of lust is brought in. Not to say that lust is a bad thing, believe me, it's lovely, but it's also really important to understand whether we're lusting after a body or whether we're lusting after the heart and soul of the one that we crave to connect with, that's a very different experience. And if you've been in the dating realm for a while, it's easy to get into the pattern of connecting for the sake of the physical, when what our soul longs for is just to find one other that we can bond and connect with and build with and work with and just wow. So that's fun. Anticipate that unexpected things will happen and try not to be moved by them. When they do happen, try to make the best of it. When you are bombarded with too many things at once, take simple steps that will help you regain a sense of balance and harmony. So that is the way that we can actually protect ourselves, and conveniently, I'm running the Human Aura book study on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. We read chapters 7 and 8 last night. Francoise helps me, Francoise Lepchek from QTAC Church Universal and Triumphant Association of Canada. We are a group that have been meeting just to be able to figure out how to help people gain access to the teachings of the Ascended Masters. And so that's connected to the Summit Lighthouse, which I came into because of the Michael and Laura show with Michael Seegers from the Shambhala Temple of Light, which you can access by going to Shambhala with an H after the B. So ShambhalaTempleofLight.com. And truly there is a wealth of resources that are available to us if only we are willing to actually look for the sacred. And there's a large percentage of people that are not actually meant to access that information because of past life choices and karma. And so not everyone will be drawn to the teachings of the Ascended Masters. Not everyone is drawn to me. And yet the ones that are, that find the teachings through the messages that I share, for instance, which I found because of the messages that I was putting out, and Azriel, who is one of the fabulous people who tune into the messages that I put out into this world and contribute, and I'm so grateful for. She actually shared a decree for protect our youth. And I ended up wanting more information, which was when then she introduced me to the violet flame and its ability to transmute karma, which we talked about last night in the Human Aura. So definitely go check that out. It's literally being uploaded onto YouTube right now. So if it's not already been uploaded over breakfast, it'll be up before this afternoon. And I would love for you to be able to better understand your energy field so that you can really be a conscious co-creator, so that you can feed the white wolf within your own heart, the one that chooses love, mercy, goodness, peace, passion, possibility, the one that chooses to be unconditional with your love instead of conditional. How amazing would that be? I am so grateful that I am coming into relationship with people that love at a deeper level. And it's so miraculous because I see things that I'm not used to that actually are a reflection of unconditional love in a way that makes me say, okay, it is the insecure aspect of a pattern that wasn't even mine that makes me judge this as different, when the truth is it's beautiful. And so instead of judging it with eyes of insecurity, because I don't feel safe in myself, therefore that which is outside of me makes me feel even more insecure, instead I choose to develop a sense of inner security and to know that those who love me understand what they have, and that those who don't understand who they are either, and therefore cannot love me the way that I need them to, which was a pattern that I identified 10 years ago when I was out in BC with a guy that I had road tripped across the country with before I got certified, in the time between when my contract ended and when I got certified. And it was amazing because I remember being on the beach of Harrison Lake, and we had just had another conversation, about dating, and he didn't want to because he went out there to heal and to close out a chapter that he had left when him and his ex had left living there and returned back home because she wanted to, not he did. So he went out there to close out that chapter, and then there's me wanting to hold on to my old self-image and my identity before becoming a certified coach, which I knew was my calling in this life because it was downloaded to me, and I knew when I heard life coach that was what I was meant to do. And so when I was finally getting to the point of getting certified, I remember I was trying to get into a relationship, even though I knew, ironically, interestingly, that I needed to be single, that I needed to not have a job when I went to that training, that I needed to stay for longer than what it was actually going to be, and I wasn't staying in Ontario. So I knew these things, but they didn't make any sense, and so I tried to interfere with that and hold on to a sense of my old life with the guy that I had traveled out there with. And what's interesting is he honored himself by staying to his boundaries, which we talked about healthy boundaries as being a light tactic. And he stayed true to his boundaries. And so it was an uncomfortable night, and I'm an early riser anyway, so I was up and I got out of the tent where we were staying because we road tripped across the whole way, which was a different and novel experience I'd never had before. So I'm totally grateful for it too. And basically I was sat on the beach of Harrison Lake in BC looking out over this pristine space, still waters, mountains, forest, gorgeous. And the birds chirping with stillness, not even the sound of vehicles in the distance. Absolutely stunning. And I heard in my head me accuse him of not loving me the way I needed him to. You don't love me the way I need you to, I heard myself say. And then it was like, holy wow, that's not even about him. Do you ever have that moment, that realization where it's just like, wow, that is not the first time I've heard that story before. And then it's thinking about all of the other men and people that didn't love me the way that I needed them to, because they didn't love themselves the way they needed themselves to be able to, so that they knew it was safe to love someone else at that level too. Make sense? People that say they don't love themselves, but they love somebody else in their life, and that they would do anything for that person because they value their life more than theirs. It's just like, we have to think about the ones who are watching us and love us, who are saying these things about, somebody that we love more than ourselves, which seems selfless, and it's kind of that martyr experience. But at the same time, if we don't actually love ourselves, if there are limits in our love of self, there will be limits in our love of others. That's where conditionality enters into the equation because of where the shadow has been introduced. So I hope that this message helps you in some way to recognize that no one will love you the way that you need them to until you love yourself the way that you need to, which is why self-care is such an important, fundamental part of where we're at historically, collectively, and as part of our story that we together are writing. It is time for us to have the We Too movement, where we unite movements and we drop all of the walls on all of the BS of boxes that have kept us feeling safely separate from one another until now. And to be able to say that instead of feeling so safely separate by walls that just make it so that we can't see what's coming at us until it's upon us, instead we say, I'm going to drop those walls and I'm going to trust that the other ones that are around me are going to drop their walls too, and then we're going to actually extend those walls so they become the bridges that unite humanity with an extra E. That happened to me when I didn't love myself. I told my ex from Honduras that I would die for him. I almost did. Words are so powerful. Now I put myself first. Rob puts himself first, and we help each other secondarily. I love that, because in truth, what we have to understand is that if we are in this room right now together, if I treat myself as my number one and you treat yourself as your number one, and everyone else in their own rooms treats themselves as their number ones too, where is the number two in the room? There isn't one. There is no energy of number two if we don't put ourselves in that position and elevate someone else to better than us, and then introduce that whole concept of superiority into